Let me see if I can go send the link from my phone. Hello, everybody. Welcome to what I just watched. This is Lady Shasha, Mistress of the Snark. And tonight with me, I have the Nightwatch Zone. If you don't know his channel, you better recognize he has a good channel. And Crystal from Wordsmith Crystal Connor's here. And we're going to be talking about Candyman in a moment. I'm just going to wait a few minutes for people to come in the room.
Tony Man looked like he's in there.
Oh, yeah.
He is. He's always there. Hi, Tony.
I saw his video and I was like, all right, he actually did it. He's got his channel going. I was like, all right.
Hood Podcast is here too. Hey.
Yeah,
hey,
Jay is here. What it do?
What's up?
Tony T is here. All right. There was something I was about to say. Oh, yeah. Tony Man was worried about editing his video. And I said, I think he's better off the cuff. Like the way it just came out as a stream of consciousness, that came out better. I don't think everybody needs to edit. I need to edit because I don't have, my mind is, I have ADHD. I'm here. I'll go around the world before I get to the point. So I have to edit.
Too funny. Coriander.
Hi, Coriander.
You made it.
Hey, Coriander.
Yeah, I agree with Tony.
Super slow. I'm trying to get the link.
Tony just got to let it just go off the cuff. I think it worked really, really well. Had me laughing. Except for when he said that Halloween was the worst horror franchise. I was like, oh, wait a minute now.
Yes, I'm like you must not have seen the Amityville series.
Right, exactly.
There's no way you said that. And
seen the Amityville series.
Exactly. Who got the echo?
Yeah, why is there an echo?
Oh, because I turned it on. I'm sorry. I don't know how to share this. I don't know how to share it to my peeps.
Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to send you the link.
You did. That's why you were like, "What's the echo?" But like, I have the
no. But that link. No, there's two links. You have the link for the back end. There's a separate link for the front end. I'm going to send you the front end link.
But this is what I got when you gave me the front. See, I'm backwards. See?
No.
This is the
link.
I just sent you. I'm hella backwards.
I just sent you another link, Crystal. There's two separate links when you do live stream.
Okay.
One is the link for the people to log into and participate, and then there's a separate link that's shareable. So I sent you the shareable link.
Got it.
Tony, when the mask changed, it was a wrap. I mean, yeah, the mask wasn't that great, but you know, they still had some decent movies, as opposed to like Ginger Dead Man.
Yeah.
Or the 20 Amityville sequels that had nothing to do with Amityville.
Or the complete and total bastardization of Hellraiser.
you know, I got issues with those last 80,000 Hellraiser movies.
Yeah. That they just take random scripts and stick Pinhead in it and call it a Hellraiser movie.
Right?
That bothers me.
Man, I cannot wait because I'm going to go off on that series soon, man. And once you get past 3,
yeah,
I'm telling you. And Doug Bradley can't even save it.
And then the 9th one where they had that weird dude that had the round head. I was like, this guy looks nothing. They could at least get a guy with the same kind of head shape, but this guy had a big blockhead being Pinhead. But that one actually had one of the better storylines. That one actually felt like it was written as a Hellraiser movie.
I heard that. I haven't seen it, but I did hear that from a couple people that it actually wasn't a bad story. So
yeah, and there was no police procedural in it. It was a straight.
That's interesting.
Right.
RoboCop 3 was not as bad as I think people take it for. Like I think they should have kept it rated R, and because they went PG-13, it kind of lost some of its bite. But if you watched it by itself and you never saw the other two RoboCops, I don't think you think it was that bad.
I agree.
Let me make sure. Let me turn my notifications off here. And I'm hearing feedback. Are you guys hearing feedback?
Hi, Adrian.
A little bit, but
hi, Tony T.
I'll be honest with you. That happens so often when I stream.
Okay.
I'll hear like this little bit in the background, and then when I watch the video, it sounds okay. I think it's because StreamYard is trying to put everything together, and then once it's up, it's like worked out or something.
And Chad, how's everything look? Can you guys hear us well? You're gonna hear it for a second because I'm gonna click on the live stream to see how we look.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a little bit of feedback coming through, but
you're gonna hear it for a second because I'm gonna click on the live stream to see how we look.
Okay, I think it looks good. We'll just work through it. I mean, it is what it is. So
there's no turning back now.
Did everyone see each other's reviews of
Candyman?
Candyman, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Crystal, you should put the thumbnail, you and your friends, because all three of you look so pretty sitting at the table. You put that thumbnail, people are gonna click like, who are they?
It looked like you guys were being interviewed.
Crazy, what good lighting will do, because like right now I'm like, how come I don't look like I do on Snapchat? But like that video in the restaurant, I look like I do on Snapchat with no filters. I was like, this is me? What? Shut it up.
And the cameras are different too, or not just the cameras, I should say the software. Because I swear my face looks different on Skype than it does on Zoom. And that's got to be a software issue. I'm like, why does my face look like this on Skype? And it doesn't look like that on Zoom at all.
Wow.
I don't like Skype. Skype makes my head look fat. I don't know why. But yeah, your review was really good, and you got to go to the private screening.
Screening, yeah. And the cool thing about being in a movie theater with a private screening is the audience is small. We kind of all know each other, and so no one is hushing you, right? Everyone is screaming at the screen at the same time. And I can't wait till we start talking about this, because there was a point in the movie where I was just like,
y'all don't know.
Exactly. And
yeah, so
Knight and I did very similar reviews where we just we drove to the theater and just did the review in the car or outside the car.
Yeah.
I saw that. It was so pretty. Yeah,
it was like an adventure in and of itself, because I hadn't been to the theater in well over a year and change. Same thing with Coriander. And we were I'm gonna be honest, I mean, it is what it is, but we had been prepping to see Candyman. We had done, little discussions and little mini episodes up until this point, and we had put it out there that we're gonna see it, we're gonna cover it, and like right up until that day, there was a still small chance we weren't gonna brave it because COVID, but we went out there, and we were really surprised and glad that the theater was very self-conscious, and it wasn't crowded. There was spacing if needed. So I was like, wow, so we were just, and I know that can happen with people, but that was also part of the excitement of it all, is that, man, we made it to the theater. We wanted to go, we made it. And now we're talking about this movie that we have been holding off and waiting for so long,
It was kind of like what you're saying, because like when we got to the theater, I used to go on book tours every year. Like, I'm the equivalent of a rock star in the writer world. At least I think that I am, right? So like I was touring.
By the way, hold on. I gotta cut you off to let everybody know in the chat. Crystal was just featured in an article from The Root.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
Yes.
And you guys, I don't know what happened, but yesterday when I woke up, this has been my biggest royalty check to date. My first book was published in 2010, and I've written 13 books since then. And so when I was looking at my account, I was like, did my Nigerian prince get his fucking money? Like, what's going on? And then I looked at it, and I'm like, oh my God, these are my royalties. Like, let me go buy some Boss water. Like, what is happening? Yeah, I think it had to do with The Root too, because I was just like,
nice.
What?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So for all of you out there who have bought and support my work, I love you guys so much. And so does my dog, because she got some really good treats. We went to the butcher. Like, yeah.
Oh, I also
Very
wanted
cool.
to say I waited till the last minute to get my ticket because even though I went to the first show of the day, I kept on refreshing my phone to see the seating chart.
Right?
And I was like, is that
See,
many
now,
people in here?
it's funny you say that. I mean, we didn't refresh the seating chart because we didn't know until we got there. But I even as we were driving there, we recorded it, and I even said at one point, I said, if it don't look right, we ain't gonna be seeing it. But it's just so funny because it shows, because people never know it unless you talk about this. They'll just watch the review or whatever. But a lot. It was nerve-wracking at first.
Yes.
So I'm glad you got to see it. I'm glad we all got to see it. And Coriander, we were just psyched. We were like, man, we did it.
Yeah. Coriander looks so cute in the video too. She was so cute.
She's so funny. I said, get in the video. She's like, well, I don't know. And I said, get in this video. But it was fun. The only thing that we didn't do, and not to skip ahead, the only thing we didn't do is really get a little crazy in the theater because we were still, sitting there. We had our mask on, and usually at certain points in the movie, and you guys know what I'm talking about, I would have been like, yes, doing stuff like that. But I was like holding it in a little bit. But still, it was fun. It was fun.
I couldn't help it. I guess we should now start talking about it so that we can get to the parts where I lost my mind. But like I was saying before, Sasha's so graciously let everybody know that I was featured in The Root. I hadn't been touring in 2 years. I hadn't seen a lot of people in the Seattle horror community, which is a small group. So just being outside and being in the theater with like a whole bunch of other vaccinated people, it was almost, it was almost healing, I guess, just to be outside and to be with, all of our friends and our colleagues and then to be able to watch Candyman in such a small private event. It was nice. It kind of reminded me of not quite the way it was when we all watched Wakanda Forever, right? When we went to go see Black Panther, but it was more like when we went to go watch Mama. That theater before like everything, it was a basic theater. It was filled to the tilt, but like everyone in the theater was screaming at the screen. Like it was like being in the movie with a bunch of your cousins. So it was kind of like that. It was just, it felt rejuvenating. It felt really good to be able to be around other people and hug them and talk to them and then go have dinner with them. It's been so long. It's just what a way to like be reintroduced to society.
It almost felt like normalcy again. Actually, I took my mask off in the theater, but it was only because there was no one sitting in the 2 rows ahead of me. There was no one to the left or the right of me, and it was like no one behind me for 2 rows. So I was like, oh, cool, I can relax, take my mask off, and be a little bit comfortable. So what did you think of the opening? I loved how it reminded me immediately of the original because that opening is iconic, seeing the cityscape from above. And Nia DaCosta reversed it by showing the cityscape from below. And it's almost like you're looking up from the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is how I really like there was a bunch of hand-wringing over this movie about how people thought it was going to be a leftist agenda or anti-police, and I think showing that opening scene from the bottom looking up represents us, right? This I think the reason why people are a little bit uncomfortable with Candyman is because this time around we're telling our side of the story, right?
Yes. And that was like a perfect visual illustration of telling the story from a different perspective.
Yeah. And it's going to make people uncomfortable, which is why, I mean, one of the things that, like, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but one of the interesting things I think about horror movies are, especially when they're mirroring what's going on in current events, is we have people who were extremely angry at the mayor in the movie Jaws when he didn't close that beach, right? But in real life, how is the governors of Texas and Florida not being impeached? What? You have people who were crying in the movie after Avatar, yet they don't give a shit about the pipeline running through native lands. Like, where's the disconnect? And
they also only selectively care about police.
That's true.
Someone was in my comments complaining about that. They seem to be so upset that some police were harmed in the Candyman movie, and I'm like, I wrote to them, you mean like what Invisible Man did last year, because he killed hella police. Like, next a month from now when we go to see Halloween, Michael Myers about to stretch some firemen out. Just usually in slasher movies, when you call the cops and they come, what happens? The slasher kills them.
They die.
So all the people are suddenly caring about the police so much.
Sci-fi movies too.
Yeah. Just say that you're racist and you didn't go. I told Night this the other day, but there was a person in my comments that was complaining that the basketball players had BLM t-shirts on. And I wrote to him, it must be nice to have so few problems in your life that a t-shirt can ruin your day.
I know. It's so ridiculous. It's like, you watch this movie, and one thing I was saying it to Prim and Tony, we were talking about it, and a whole bunch of other people. This movie follows the path from the original, the OG, as far as showing the outcome of racial injustice. Now, Daniel Robitaille, his racial injustice was just loving a white woman and having a relationship and fathering a child. That's what it was back then. This movie takes place today, and now it's talking about something that is true of today's time. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it followed. And Lee from Drum Dums, I had a conversation with him because he said that his comment section on Candyman was the most toxic he's ever had in all 6 years of his YouTube channel.
Wow.
And he did a response video just talking about the comments, and I had to get involved, so I messaged him. He's awesome. And I just said, man, I'm just so glad that you said what you said, you took a stand, but you talked about it with facts, not emotion. And it's not so much that, hey, you got my opinion, so I appreciate it, but I just appreciate how he talked about it fact-wise. And he said the same thing. This is following the same, he called it the sandbox of the original. And it does.
And actually, it picks up where that one left off. Like, so like to see her in the newspaper articles that he was reading, like it's exactly where that stopped, this one picked up. And I thought that it was really cool. One of the things that I like the most that is even giving me goosebumps that I'm thinking about it now is the story told through the shadow puppets, like the beginning of the movie, in the middle of the movie, and at the end. Like, I don't know if a lot of people realize that what was going on in the shadow puppets at the end of the movie is actual history. That guy who was dragged behind the truck, that happened just like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So the child in the electric chair, I think he was 11, and his trial lasted 3 days. An 11-year-old boy, the youngest in the United States history to be electrocuted, and his trial was only 2 hours long. So it is going to sting a bit, but like you guys sat through Cinder's List and you can understand how bad that was. Guess what? You're going to sit through this too, right?
Definitely.
Stop complaining about it. Stop complaining about it, because it's almost like a renaissance now that we have so many Black storytellers and producers and people who are to back the movies like this. Our stories are going to be told whether you like them or not.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Part of it feels a little bit like they're just more upset about who's telling the story than the story being told. Because in the 92 version, that addressed race, but because the director is Bernard Rose and he's a white man talking about race, they're okay with it. I actually had someone right under my comments.
Race, right? Like
this person. I was gonna say, this person came under my comments and said, "This is what happens when you let a Black woman direct a movie." And I'm just like, and you literally came to my Black ass channel to say this. What
the way that he talked about race, though, basically reinforced a narrative that they're already comfortable with, which is
yes,
a big black scary black man is dangerous for white women. So of course they didn't have a problem with that, right? He was the victim in that movie, but they were watching it from their point of view. So you know, they weren't bothered by it. But like that's not what happened. Okay. He was lynched for that. Like, but you know, big scary black man. I can't believe that person said that on your comments. I'm gonna go look for him, and I am going because I've got time, right? I've got time. I can't go anywhere. I just left the doctors before I came here, and I have to have another appointment before they clear me. So guess what? I've got the time.
You got time.
That's so funny.
What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, they tied it back to the original short story too. There's a blink and you miss it moment when Anthony goes to take the photographs in the row houses, which, by the way, the row houses, as they look in this movie, are closer to the description of the council estates from the original short story. Because it doesn't take place in the council estates. If you're unfamiliar, council estates, I call it. Oh, I was saying the council estates in England. That's projects. They call them council estates, but they're basically projects. But they're built kind of like those row houses were built. And the way when he walked through there, I could hear the description, even though it's something I read. But you know, I could hear the description in my head of Clive Barker describing walking through these houses and how they looked. And if you blink, you might miss it. There's a graffiti on the wall of the first Candyman with the red hair and red beard.
Yep. And the guy who owned the dry cleaners, he was reading Clive Barker's book. So like there's a lot of nods to the original.
Yes. Yeah, that was cool.
And that was also about class struggle. Like it didn't have race involved because both the characters were both from the UK. There might have been some subtext that I missed because I'm currently rereading it, and I know that there are certain relational issues between the Irish and the English. So there might be like some subtext there, but it was always about classism and about gentrification and that type of thing.
Yeah. No, I think in saying that, I think that was one of the best parts about this movie is that they really respected the material. They understood the weight of what that meant. And I don't even know how many people I've seen that said, well, I don't want to watch this because it's a remake. It's not going to be as good as the original. And I kept hearing remake.
It's not a remake. It's a sequel.
Exactly. It's not a remake. It's not a remake. And I don't know how many times I've had to say that myself in comments and posts and stuff like that. But it also just shows you and I think someone in the chat was saying that too. A lot of times people just want something to bitch about, you know, before they actually take the time to check it out or to open their mind or whatever. So this has been an interesting movie, you know, as far as to cover and talk about and see other people's reactions. And like you said, you know, people in the comments just waiting to assassinate you. It's like,
and you know what? She got the last laugh because no other, like she's the first Black woman to debut, and she's still at number one. And I'm gonna go see this movie 2 more times in the theater, like because like seeing it at like the first time around, there like it was like so much, and then afterwards we were still like reeling from it. You know what I mean? So I have to see it again. This is the kind of movie that you have to like watch again. You know.
And they're also missing a secondary subtext. Everyone was so focused on the police brutality storyline that they forgot about the storyline about these Black hipsters that are so disconnected. I love they made these characters. Number one, it was great to see Black people that are middle class or above middle class, period, because we exist. There's different types of people in the Black community, and then to see artists, but to see them have the ability to be, and the freedom to be pretentious and snobby as anyone else, that was pretty cool to see.
It was.
And they kind of poked fun at it. They poked fun at it.
They did. Yeah.
I liked like how I'm like moving a little bit forward from that scene there, but like one of the things where I thought was really interesting, and I loved what they both did it, the artist and his girlfriend, they basically dared them to say his name, right? Just like that kid a couple of months ago on TikTok who called herself a Haitian priestess.
Yes.
Hey, you're not a priestess. And so a lot of people were like, go ahead and cast that spell. It was kind of like that. Like when the his critic was like, this is pedestrian. And he was like, okay, we'll say his name. And then like all of a sudden now he's doing well. Then she changes her tune. Like everyone always profits off the backs of Black people. Like she was like, it's pedestrian. So then now why do you need a whole private interview with him? Like you said his work was nothing. So now that it's in the news, you know, now that you can make some money off of that, of course you want to have that private interview. And another thing that I liked about this movie, this is a slasher film, but because it's told from a woman's eye, directed by a woman's eye, I felt that those slasher scenes were almost quite beautiful, very macabre, very elegant, but at the same time very brutal. For people who want like a super slasher movie like Sleepaway Camp or any of the Friday 13s or the slasher series on Netflix, this is not that. But the kill scenes they're worth it. But
there's a particular neck slashing that looks great, and I love that the camera lingered on it for a moment so you could see, and they even included the blood kind of splurting out. It looked very I feel like I sound like a sick person saying this, but
I loved it.
I loved it.
Hey man, you're a horror fan, so I mean that's part of it. But the other side of that too, because I've heard some people say, well, there wasn't enough gore in it, or there wasn't enough kills, or it wasn't as scary as I wanted it to be, or whatever. And my thought on it was, I felt the creepiness and the atmosphere in the movie. And sometimes, that might hit you a certain way depending on the day. But that's how the original was. The original one was creepy and atmospheric, and it wasn't a bunch of kills, and it wasn't a whole bunch of gore. I mean, they had moments and stuff, but I mean, this is not Friday the 13th, and it wasn't meant to be. I think some people kind of forgot, and they think, oh, well, Candyman, and he's a horror icon, and they think of Tony Todd and the old days, but they may not have seen those old movies in a while. It's like this isn't a regular slasher. This is as much psychological as it is, the physical gore. Yeah. And
I was a little bit creeped out because when the movie ended, I was watching the shadow puppets, and I guess the other three people that were in the theater left before me. So when I turned around, I was alone in a dark theater, and I was like, let me get out of here. So I was creeped out a little bit.
Well, and I liked how, like, you guys who follow me on my channel when I do live action reviews, you guys know I'm always screaming at the characters doing stupid shit. There were two scenes that just made me like, I was so proud. One, the other POC, the girl in the bathroom, the Asian girl, she was like, no.
Oh, yeah. Not today.
That's right.
She grabs her backpack, not today.
She was smart.
And then when she was looking for her boyfriend and she opens the cellar door, she's like, nope. And I was like, yes. Then she made me mad like 2 scenes later because she fell down like on nothing. Like, what are you? Why are you on the ground? Oh my God.
It's a horror movie rule, but that's equality. No. It's equality now, Crystal. Black women can now fall like white women.
No, I don't. In a horror movie. I need to speak to somebody's manager because, no, I don't want that. I don't want that to happen.
That's funny. Oh man.
Let me take like a few minutes to read some comments because I don't want people to feel like we're ignoring them. It's just hard. It's hard when you're having such a good conversation. You don't want to break the momentum.
Right.
Yeah, Coriander, I'm with you on that too about protecting yourself. I got vaccinated. I wear my mask. Crystal's seen. I have stylish masks. I have a mask with crystals all over it. I got a mask that glows in the dark. So nice. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it in style. Oh, I should put these on the screen, shouldn't I? There we go. I'm getting used to this.
Thank you. Let them go on the screen so that we can read them and still see each other.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how to
all over the place. Like, I'm not.
Okay, Adrian responds. Correct saying cheers. Tony Man says, and Jaws Mayor Vaughn, shout out to you for knowing the mayor's actual name, Vaughn.
Right?
Mayor Vaughn didn't want the shark cut open and have the little kitten or boy spilling out onto the street.
If he had to close the damn ass beach, the boy wouldn't have been in the shark in the first place. So he's not getting the pass for me.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
Adrian says we still have issues here with Aboriginal rights. Yes, I saw Aboriginals marching last year, and they had their own Black Lives Matter protests as well. Hey guys, haven't seen the new one yet, only the original, so I'm interested to hear your opinions on it.
The original versus this one is what you're asking, George?
Well, he's saying that he's only seen the original, but he's still interested in seeing our opinion on the next one. Tony T said it is a perfect sequel.
It really is. It really is.
Adrian says, same George, I've only seen the first one at work in our lunch break. Yeah, because Adrian, by the way, is in Australia, so it's lunchtime for him now, probably. Tony T, the ending was heartbreaking. Yeah, and the first one I felt really sad. Well, I saw it as a teenager, so it really affected me.
The first Candyman is the first horror movie that made me cry, because for me, I didn't see him as a villain, and I always root for the bad guy. I center bad guys in everything that I write, but they're women, so like the villain is like, because I always love the villain, but I didn't see him as a villain. I saw him as a victim, and his injustice. It just made me cry.
Who is the director? The director's name is Nia DaCosta. Yeah, and I believe this is her second film.
Yep. When I found out who she was, I went and I watched her first movie, Littlewood, and it's like getting hit in the face with a shovel. It's so good. Like, if you guys can find it, go and watch that movie. It is so good.
Adrian says some people want attention with shit comments. This is true. That's why
true.
Some of them I totally did not even respond to, because I knew you just want attention.
Yeah.
There's always been an issue between Irish and English. I wonder why, because like they're so close and just geographic location, and also so close that parents so close in DNA tests. Like I'm part Irish, but when I took like the DNA test, it'll say English Irish because it cannot separate it. So it's literally their separation is cultural, not necessarily genetic.
Yeah, and the English are colonizers, so I mean, that's what the issue is, right? Like,
they did the Irish super dirty.
Yeah,
right.
Sometimes remakes.
I dated a Bosnian, and he was telling me, well, I was young and I couldn't, like, I was just like still learning the ways of the world, and so he was telling me about he was like expressing his animosity towards Russian people, and I was like, how are you guys racist to each other? You're all white. Like, I just didn't get it.
But wasn't there a genocide in Bosnia?
Yeah. And so, like, he had to sit me down and, like, break it down. And I was like, oh, because growing up in America, we living in a bottle society. And again, I was younger. We equate racism with white people versus everybody else, right? And so that's when he was explaining stuff like that to me, I was like, but how? But then, like, when he told me, and I was like, oh, dang.
Even in Africa, there's been some countries where they had one tribe trying to commit genocide on another tribe.
Yes, that is so true.
The
it's like, wow.
And the, I don't know what
the Hutus? I think it's the Hutus. The Hutus and the Tutsis, I think.
Yeah, okay.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's rough, man.
And Adrian, sometimes the part twos are better. Like, for me, an example for an amazing part two was the second Saw. The third Saw was amazing, but I stopped after that because you guys are now just trying to, like, stretch it out, right? It's not like, I think people who are working with franchises and sequels, and not sequels, but series, as creators, we need to know when to stop telling the story.
That's true.
Like, now it's just like with Jason in space. Like, how did he get up there? Like, how did he
how did he get up there? How did Leprechaun? How did he get
there? Adrian says Irish are mostly Celtic and English are mostly Anglo-Saxon. I'm a mix of both. Tony Man says, I said Candyman 5 times on my video and I'm okay.
That don't count.
For now.
When we were in the restaurant, when you guys look at the video that we did, there's mirrors behind us, right? And so we did that really quick video, and then our server came up and he was like, Candyman, and then like we all like started grabbing our stuff to leave. We're like, it's not fucking funny. Do you want this tip or not? And he was like, I was just joking. You go home and do it then, okay? Don't put off. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, come on. We don't say that here.
Jalessia Art says yes.
Like, oh hell no! But like, you can like say it if you want to.
Yeah. Jalessia Art says yes. The black hipsters. You guys are the first to mention it. You can't not notice it because all the rolled up pants.
Right?
the rolled up pants with the boots.
Or just the damn ass
the Chuck Taylors
living in it. Like,
yeah, that apartment was nice.
That apartment
wasn't it?
In downtown Chicago? Okay. Wow. Is all I can say is wow.
Right.
Vanessa Williams still looks like she did. Yes. Talk
Crazy.
about not aging. Oh my goodness. And it's been almost 30 years between two movies.
Yes,
that is crazy.
No, it is crazy.
I saw Tony Todd in 2018. Took tons of pictures with him, and he doesn't look different either. Like he and he smells really good.
My mother and my uncle used to play with him as kids. He used to live on Sigourney Street in Hartford, Connecticut. And he used to say he was going to grow up and be an actor. And they used to be like, you ain't going to be no actor.
That is a great story.
Look.
That is awesome.
I'm really glad that they didn't like superimpose him. Like he came in at the end, right? That was like really, I thought really cool. But like they did all of the people. Like when he was like, Candyman is not the, he's like, it's the whole damn hive, right?
Yeah.
And so at the end, you get to see every single person who, you know, was wronged by the injustice system and came back to, you know, exact justice any way that they can. Like one of the other persons, one of the other people who was interviewed for that Root interview, she was like, all he wants to do is be left alone and keep your name out of his mouth, right? When you call him, though, you better want that smoke because that's what he's coming for. Like, you know, and so like I thought that it was really like, like my heart broke for her because the cop scene, right? So like he's sitting she's in handcuffs. First of all, she didn't do anything wrong, and he's like telling her what her options are. And like that, and the type of, and when I was in that movie theater, when he gave her option number 2, there was like a collective gasp in the theater. And I blurred out because I forgot where I was. I was like, are you guys new here? This is what we've been telling you.
Not even telling. It's been on the news. They've shown people.
It's been shown.
They've shown people being shot and killed over and over again to the point where I don't watch the evening news anymore because I don't want to see people die.
Right.
And if they're being deliberately obtuse.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right. And I just like, but the way, I don't know, like, I think because it was such a visceral reaction, I think at that moment, they were really like, what is he doing? And so then like when she says his name the last time and starts to laugh because she understands he was telling the truth, and she understands, you know, even like, and even the owner of the dry cleaning, Bert. I can't fault him because let me go back a bit. So he was little, right? And he screamed when he got the candy because, you know, there was lots of tension in his neighborhood. There's cops all around. And then he realizes, okay, this man is not going to hurt me, right? And but because he did scream, it garnered the attention of the police. And so this little boy leaves the laundromat as the police are like, they open the door, they drag him out, and there's like a whole army of police going down there. And they close the door and he's listening from the outside because he's short, right? And there's a glass window. And he, at that moment, he's young, right? He's like, he's got to be 11. He realizes that he mistakenly got that man killed, right? And so what he's doing now, because no one in the Black community, well, not no one, but a lot of us do not seek counseling for our trauma. He's 11 years old. He thinks he made the biggest mistake of his life by getting this guy killed. And so now when he captures our artist, right, he's like, now there's going to be witnesses, right? When the cops come this time, it's going to be completely different. So he's trying to right his wrong, but because he didn't get the counseling and he didn't, really talk about it, he's going about it the wrong way, which brings me back to her in the back seat, right? So when she says his name for the last time and starts laughing, I have laughed that laugh before, and that is nothing but pure rage, right? Because, oh my God, really? And so after that, we all knew it was coming, and I just didn't have any empathy.
Right. Yeah.
That's
crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking at Death Centrals too. Like, who's like, that's interesting because so far I haven't heard that anyone who's actually seen the movie to be not disappointed. Like, we're all over the moon, but like what we were saying earlier, because it's told from a different point of view, we have to like make sure that they're not just like trying to tank it like they did with Black Panther, and then they actually saw the movie, or are they just like going on to IMDb and leaving bad reviews? You know what I mean?
That's true too.
Right.
Tony Man says, I remember
your avatar, Death Central. That's super cute.
Tony Man says, I remember a girl in class said something was stressful, and an African student said, you don't know stress. Stress is when you hear a loudspeaker to cut down the tall trees and murdering a village. Yeah, I remember hearing about that on the news, that's what they called it when they said cut down the tall trees. It was like a call for genocide, basically.
Wow.
Let's see. Curious World says, I rewatched the first 3 movies this year. I forgot how good the first one was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I think we're all caught up on the comments. Tony says, I've heard that laugh, and I've done that pure rage laugh. I feel you, Crystal.
Yeah. Yep.
I just didn't feel bad for them. They
that's what I was going to say too. I didn't either, man, because at that point I was just like, you son of a bitch,
Right.
But again, like you guys are saying, this is real. This is paralleling what we see on the news. Like when I watch the news, there's always some bullshit that you're hearing, you know?
Like recently, I saw it by mistake. I like Sasha. I'm not like watching the news, but the CNN reporter, the weather reporter in covering the hurricane, and the guy jumped out of his truck and ran up to his face. Dude, you're supposed to be evacuating. Why are you up in a Black man's face who's reporting the news? Okay?
Right. Yeah.
I hope you don't make it out. I mean, let me take that back. Like,
I didn't see that, but yeah.
Infuriating. Like, what makes you guys do this? Like, what makes you guys do this? Like the woman who knocked on her neighbor's door and told her to take the flag down because she didn't like it. The
Tigger. It was a Tigger flag.
It was a Tigger flag. Yeah. She was like, I know there's rules. I don't know what they are, but I'll be back. Like, dude, what? Yeah,
there's a certain group of people in America that I'm calling it mental illness. It's got to be mental illness. Nobody that is a balanced individual thinks in these ways. This has got to be some form of mental illness that they haven't named yet, because it's weird.
It's extremism, right? Because white supremacy is terrorism, and so like it must be like a powerful feeling to be thinking just because you're white that you can just do whatever you want and not have
and still can. I don't know if you saw earlier. I saw a video of a guy who was flipping out at the airport. He was throwing stuff, and I'm just watching the video, waiting for security to come get him, waiting for the cops.
Yeah.
No, I'm
and
like,
waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
And then all the commenters were like, "Oh, he must be having a bad day, or he must, need F all that." Okay, this is not how you act in public.
Yeah, and it's
He's
I think
in
it was
an
at
airport. That's a federal crime. Like, why? Where's the compassion when we flip out because you followed us home? Or like, I'm not even going to talk.
We don't even have to flip out because that I believe that was in the Miami airport. It was in Miami maybe 2 years ago that it was an autistic person that was having an issue, and his caregiver was laying on the ground with him, and the cops shot at them and shot the caregiver. I think the caregiver survived, but they were laying on the ground. They were not a threat to anyone. Yeah. And like people who at this point, 10 years after seeing all these videos of people being killed, you are just blinded by your racism. You don't want to see the truth. You'll never see the truth. And I'm not going to argue with you anymore. Yeah. I'm just going to block you. There's no more learning to be had. There's no more conversations. If you're still saying this, I should call it fuck shit. Shout out to, what's her name? Spooky Astronaut? Sweet and Spooky. No, not Spooky. Sweet and Spooky. I watched her Candyman review last night, and she started her Candyman review by saying, if you came here to say any fuck shit in my comments. And I was like, I love this little girl.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, shout out to Sweet and Spooky. She said, don't come in her comments with that fuck shit.
Yeah, man. It's like, I don't know, man. Like I said, this movie, I didn't, and this sounds almost to be naive, so I don't want to sound stupid, but I really did not think that it would be this much, of the toxicity and stuff. I really didn't think it, maybe I was just being naive, but.
Hold on. I gotta blow this out of the goddamn water. This right here.
You know what?
Y'all always bring this up as if the gang members do not end up dead or in jail themselves. They face consequences. That's the difference. The people that are gang banging face consequences. If they like I said, they either end up in jail or they end up dead. So this is a non-comparable issue. Whereas you have another group of people that face no issues for killing people that are disabled, harming people that are elderly. We saw last year when the cops shoved that elderly man. He was about 75 years old.
Yeah, I could not believe that.
Don't ever bring that crap up in this space again, because you're being willfully ignorant. That shit right there, you better check your racism, because that's stupid. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. No. Don't apologize.
But and don't pretend like you care about the children being killed by gang violence, because you don't.
Right.
I watched the movie and Knight was correct. It wasn't overdone, in my opinion, hot button or not. It fit the movie, and it fit, sadly, the world today. Yes. Thank you. Yes, hey, Internet Eric here. Yes.
My man, Eric.
It's kind of like, even though it was directed by someone else, it's like, I remember Jordan saying that Get Out was a documentary and that Us was a horror movie.
Oh, and yeah.
So now I guess this is another documentary told within a canon that we are familiar with. And I thought that it was perfect. I thought that was perfect. And then there's other stuff that's in there, like the bullying of the black girl in the bathroom, right? So she comes in, because I was, when we were talking about it after dinner, I was like thinking that maybe she had some social anxiety. But then Abby pointed out that, she's going to an all-white school, a predominantly white school. When they were leaving the bathroom, they were being, bitches to her. So she was probably being bullied by them, right?
Right.
And so that's why she went in the bathroom, put her headphones on, and picked her feet up, because she was like, let them leave so that I can have a moment to myself. And I think it was just like almost her, how can I say it? Like, that was her justice, right? They shouldn't have been doing what they were doing to begin with, but because I think it's just, we are so used to people getting away with, a certain block of people getting away with murder when it comes to us, right? Getting away with just blatant abuse when it comes to us, and for her to see her tormentors taken care of by Candyman was almost poetic, right? It was poetic justice, because
definitely poetic justice.
Yeah,
and it was realistic, her coming in the bathroom and sitting in the stall, because that happens. I mean, one of my friends that I've known, I guess we've known each other for about 30 years. I met her in the library, because we both met each other because we were having our lunch in the library to avoid being fucked with. So that's a real thing. And some people, I found out later, there were some people that was having their lunch in a bathroom.
Mm-hmm. It happens, you know. Mm-hmm. And again, these are things that, and that was the other thing that was smart about this movie, is that you had a lot of those little moments here and there. Mm-hmm. And if you watch the movie, you know, I mean, us as fans, we watched the movie, we were into it, but the other people that might be on the fence or listening to all that BS, just watch the movie and just take it as it is. Mm-hmm. See what's going on. And you can really, like I said, there's a lot of little moments that are trying to illustrate those types of things. Like when I was in high school, that was stuff that happened too.
Mm-hmm. Like when they were at the dinner and the boyfriend, the white boyfriend was like, he said something off the cuff and he was like, oh, wait a minute. And you could see how uncomfortable he was in that situation, because you got invited to dinner to a Black family's home and you said something like,
it was about gentrification. They were talking about gentrification, and he was like, "Oh, you mean like here?" Right. So it was kind of funny because they didn't see themselves as also being gentrifiers, which is another layer of issue within the Black community, because you do have people that, because they're so removed, they typically are the ones that decide, oh, I'm going to be a young Republican, because, you know, they're so far removed from, I mean, I'm just a wit, so nobody knows, everybody's on the same page. I'm neither a Republican nor a Democrat. I think it's all bullshit. But I'm just saying that there's a segment of Black society that is very disconnected from the troubles of what would be considered the underclass. And
until
they might
something happens, and
until
then,
to
them personally.
They get there what Paul Mooney called the wake-up call.
Example would be Candace Owens. Like,
she's Black. There was an Australian guy that gave her the perfect nickname. He called her a political prostitute. Because like, you're literally doing this for the money. Like, you could care less. You just get paid to do these bookings, and you just will say whatever that group of people want you to say, and that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Anything to stay relevant, but like to what end? Because she's a mom now, right? And like,
but she's a liar. She stands up there and says that institutional racism doesn't exist, that everything's equal, there's racism nowhere. But yet 10 years ago, she filed a discrimination lawsuit and won. So how did you win a discrimination lawsuit against discrimination that, quote, doesn't exist?
And then like what I was like, my point to that, like her son is going to grow up and see all of this footage. And in my own personal experience, and you know, I don't know every single child that is of blended heritage, but my friends and the people that I like just brushed across, and people that I like interact with, you know, virtually, kids who are multicultural tend to be the most militant, right? I'm seeing that on TikTok right now.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, biracial TikTok is scary. They're ready to burn it all to the ground.
So like, you know, what is he gonna do? Like you're a mom now. He's little. He's not even a year yet, but he is going to be. He might, you know. I think it's just, I don't know. Like every person, my cousins, a couple of exes, every, you know, people that I just know on the peripherals and through the horror community. Those kids, those biracial children, are like blackly Black when it comes to their militancy.
Well, I can tell you a little bit where that comes from, because, I mean, looking how I look, people sometimes mistake me for being biracial, even though I'm not biracial. And what happens is when people mistake that, they think they can say certain things in front of you, things they wouldn't say in front of someone that they identify as completely Black. So it gives you a look into what they're really thinking. And I went through a very militant part of my life where like I can't stand it. I see how these people talk about me when they think I'm not me. I was working at a shop one time, and a woman came in and she was talking to me regular conversation, and then she starts to warn me about, because I mentioned I had just moved from Connecticut, and she's like, oh well, don't go to this part of town because, you know, that's where the Black people live. And I'm like, she actually thought, because the person who owned the shop was from Thailand, she thought that I was also Thai, which There's a lot of Thai people. There's a lot of Filipino people. I get mistaken for Filipino a lot too. So they think that, but it's crazy what they'll say in front of you when they don't immediately identify you as a Black person. And I think that could make a person feel very militant until you meet people that are not like that, until you are exposed to more people and you realize the rest of the world isn't necessarily like this, especially when you get to meet people that might be from certain parts of Europe or Russia, or I met some really cool people from Romania and Bulgaria. Super cool people. But Death Central says, so it has a similar vibe that Tales from the Hood had. Yeah. And message and morals. Yeah, because Tales from the Hood did the police brutality thing 20 years ago, and people were bitching and moaning.
Yeah, and nobody got triggered over that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, man. I
think that we're just living in a time where everyone wants to say, you know, ow, my pussy hurts on the internet all day, every day. And it's like, stop
it. You wild girl.
Sorry. Says Knight just said it. Just watch and take it as it is. Knight knows how real I am. I fully admit it. I was iffy after hearing a lot of talk, but after watching, the message fit.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Tony Man says, I'm playing the background now because I gave him an earful about that child comment. These moments aren't just for African Americans. All cultures have been. This is true.
Yes, but we're not talking about all cultures right now. That's not what
we're doing Coriander is bringing up because she happens to be Native, and of the people that have had the shit end of the stick, Natives can give Black people a run for their money.
A good run.
I take it back.
Yeah.
my outrage is rescinded.
Yes.
As well as
poor white people being. Yes, this is true.
That is true.
I have seen some classism stuff happening. Even the way people reacted to Honey Boo Boo, they treated that little girl like she was the worst thing to ever be on television. I'm like, are you guys just mad because they're showing the reality of a certain segment of America? Everyone is not living in Beverly Hills. Everyone's not living like a Kardashian. There are people that live like Honey Boo Boo, and you just don't want to see them.
Yeah, it's true.
Going to an all-white school in a gentrified neighborhood speaks quite a bit to the Black experience. Yeah, well, it depends also on which neighborhood, because I've had both experiences of being in a school where me and my sister were the only Black students in all 5 grades. It was me and my sister, and there was one Asian girl that was adopted. And the students there at that particular school were extra nice to us because they never met anybody Black before. So they were just like, wow, where are you from? And then I moved to a more working class town, and there was some super racist white kids there. Like they come to school right away. And it's like N-word. Like,
right.
Oh yeah.
It's like, yeah.
I grew up on a military installation. Not all the way grew up because it's only 6 through K or K through 6. And so going to school off base was a completely different experience because most of the time, kids who are Army brats or military brats, one parent is from someplace else, right? They've gone on to war and they brought someone home back with them. Like our next door neighbors, their dad was German, right? So, and then across the street, their mom was Filipino. Like, and it was just like a cultural, like so many of us, right? And it's a tiny microcosm, even though a military post is huge. But like, you know, when we all transferred to the civilian school, it was like
culture shock.
What? Exactly. It was exactly that. And then, and the school that we went to was a predominantly white school. And then when we moved to California and we went to a predominantly Black school, I mean, it was hard for us to acclimate and make friends because, you know, we were accused of trying to be white, and they wanted to know why we talk this way. And where we're from, and like, dude, I'm from Washington State. Like, it's I don't have an accent.
Right? Oh yeah. If I told you how many times I've heard stuff like that, like, you don't sound like you're Black.
Yeah.
You know? And
have you ever done an over the phone interview and then show up in person and they look at you like, oh, I was talking to you?
Right?
Yes, you were.
It's like me and my brother, we've gone through that, and it's just funny, man. It's a crazy world out there. It really is, man. It really,
I will say I did have a really positive experience going to a historically Black college. I went my freshman year. I ended up transferring because I changed my major to something that wasn't available at that college anymore. But there was a sense of relief for that year of being part of the majority and having most of the teachers who like this. But what was interesting is
the
people
school that you showed me when I went down there.
What school? No. That was where I went to get my graduate degree, the Full Sail.
Okay.
No, Florida Memorial was the one I went to in Miami. But what's funny is that even when it's all Black people still self-segregate because there was like the Caribbean students over here and African Americans over here, and then there was a class division. Like you could tell, like the Whitley Gilbert type people that their parents, they got to worry about nothing. Everything's paid for. It's like they were on a different spectrum than us scholarship kids. Like,
nice.
So, but you didn't have that added stress of racial issues.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was kind of, and then also North versus South. They was calling the Northern students Yankees. So you guys are Yankees.
My grandmother used to call us Yankees because she's from the West Indies, and she used to say, "You badass Yankee kids make my ass itch." Like that was her thing when we drove her crazy. Like that was her thing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta read this. The reverse of that. Tony Man says, I can speak and say going to an all-Black school and being one of the only white kids, it was stressful for me. I can imagine. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
The reflection of the mirror.
Right.
That Sim says, I was surprised at people's reaction. Well, not that much, actually, like you said. In these times, everyone's butt hurt. But I thought the trailer was great. Can't be that bad. I'll see it eventually.
There's two trailers, so make sure you watch them both.
Yeah, and also the cinematography in this it's a gorgeous looking movie.
It is. Oh my God, man! It was almost romantic watching this thing. You know what I mean? It's like and the other thing too that I forgot to say, when it first came on. And the Universal logo came on backwards, and like monkey paw.
Oh, it's backwards, dude. It's a mirror. Like,
well, hey, look, I'm not gonna lie to you, man, because again, this is the first time I've been to a theater in like a year and change, and I was like putting everything on seeing this because I also wanted to react to it. There was like a hot second that I looked at Coriander. I was like, do I have to go and tell them something's wrong with this movie? Like it came to my head. I'm like, is it wrong? Then I was like, okay, it's the mirror thing. But it was just beautiful, man. The way that it was shot. I mean,
the colors, the palette. It was I'm super seduced by visuals. And I watched, I can't remember if I blinked. I'm sure that I did, but like, I just wanted to take everything in. And like how Sasha was saying, when you watch it again, like there's a lot of subliminal stuff that you see but you don't see because it's like we haven't been outside in 2 years, and so and we were so excited about it, and just that's what the word I was looking for, being in fellowship, right? From being isolated this whole entire time, and I just left Florida. Me and Sasha hung out for a while. But even when we were roaming around, we were like a tiny microcosm because we weren't like, hanging out in Florida like with everybody else because
COVID.
So too many people are taking precautions. Like,
oh yeah, Florida people, they think everything is all gravy. Like when I go to the store, I might be the only person in there with a mask on.
Ain't that some stuff? Oh my God, man.
And then they look all Google-eyed at you like, what do you got that on for? Like, really? You know why I have this on.
And then like when something goes wrong, they like beg for sympathy, right? Like I think it was on Dateline News. This woman took her family. She was tired of COVID. She was like, I had a lapse in judgment. No, you didn't. You got tired. And she took her entire family on a family vacation. All of them got sick. And the most sick person was her daughter-in-law who's pregnant, right? And so they had to do an emergency C-section. And they have their fingers crossed, but they don't think that she's gonna make it, right? But like, I don't feel sorry for you, okay?
Yeah, they didn't take it seriously. Not too many weeks ago, my sister was redoing a backsplash in the kitchen, and she sliced her finger when she was cutting tiles. So I had to take her to the ER to get stitches. And there was people there. I mean, because there's no beds left, the people were in the lobby laying down with blankets. And fortunately, the triage staffs were like, well, you only need to get a couple stitches. Let's get you. They kind of let us kind of jump the line because like we can't do anything for them anyways. There's no beds, so we'll just put some stitches in you and send you home and get you out of here. So, but just to see that the people were in the lobby and they were all, being really rude to the medical staff and saying they don't understand why they have to wait. And it's like, well, if you did what you were supposed to, maybe you might not have to go there. But
and I don't understand what's going on with your governor, right? So people want their kids to have masks on. He's stopped the payment of teachers. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I don't understand.
I don't understand that part. I got why he had the parks open because that's a money thing.
Right.
Who's gonna vote for you? Like, you see how this works? And now in Louisiana was pretty bad with COVID. Their beds were at critical. And now they have a natural disaster on top of that. Like, this is going to be another super spreader event because, one, they don't have any air conditioning. That standing water, mosquitoes still carry malaria, right?
Yes.
And then there's no place like, I was watching a newscaster saying that, way back in Katrina, they shoved everybody into the dome, but they can't do that really because we still have COVID. Like,
right now, my family who lives in Louisiana, they already had to go through Katrina, rebuilt their houses, and right now, currently as we speak, they're in hotels because they had to evacuate their area. So thankfully they're safe, but still it's a very stressful thing. Drea G, welcome to the chat. This is the first time I'm seeing you, Drea.
Yeah.
So she says Candyman worked for us in this film. Let's see here. Eric says the colors in the art gallery.
Oh wait, go ahead.
Oh, the colors in the art gallery during those murders looked awesome. The colors throughout this movie and the symmetry looked really great. You often did shots that were symmetrical. And at first, there was a lot of close-ups of Anthony. And my mind first was like, why are there so many close-ups of him? And then I remembered there was a lot of close-ups of Helen, especially looking into her eyes.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a repeat of that where he is now Helen.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You're right.
I knew you were going to love the colors on this. Like, I kind of knew that, like, 15 minutes into the film, I'm like, I can't wait to hear what she's going to say about this color because it is vivid. It is gorgeous. It is like, and you're the first one to complain about someone's color.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
knew you were going to love it.
I wish they would outlaw sepia. I can't stand it. I am like, there's two types of people. There's people that love Suspiria and people who hate Suspiria. And I love Suspiria because of the colors. I love it.
Yeah.
Amy Denver says, my intro to graduate studies English professor showed us Candyman as a way to demonstrate cultural criticism. Oh, that is awesome. That is really good.
Very cool.
Hi, Amy.
Yes, welcome to the channel.
Yeah, welcome.
Coriander says, Sherman was damn creepy Candyman. He looked scary in the elevator scene. Yes, he did.
Shout out to Sherman, man.
Yeah.
What made it work so much is because he's seeing like what's going on, right? And then when the kids open the door, like the elevator opens, and they're like, "What's going on with you?" That was super good because it kind of shows the psychological element of being super stressed and the pressures of society. He's an up and coming artist, and he knows the legend, and he said it 5 times, and the first kill scene back, and I know I'm all over the place. The first kill scene where he's being dragged through the art gallery, and when we see him, there's nothing. But when we pan to something reflective, I loved that.
It was creative, man.
Right.
Yeah, very creative. Oh, Kevin's got something there.
Death Central says, part 1, you guys made me realize that I often said something racist to my black friend without knowing how that could make him feel or how it was. I was saying it as a joke and he knew it. I have to find a part 2.
Yeah, he's got part 2 up and part 3.
But it probably made him feel some way without telling me anything. I was saying that he wasn't a real black because of the way he acted, which sounds not too bad, but he could see it. Here's part 3. Another way, I feel bad now. I'll text him. Yeah, I'm glad that we made you see that because we are real black people. No matter what we do, if we're playing golf, we're still black people playing golf.
And you know what? And I'm glad that you realize that because what we didn't mean to, but what it implies is we as a whole don't talk very well. We're not sophisticated. We're not like, when you attribute white attributes to Black people, it's super insulting, right? Like when people were saying that, and people have said this about me too. I'm classically trained as a marine engineer, and I was explaining something to a tech, and he was like, wow, you're really articulate. And I was like, as in compared to who?
Yeah,
exactly.
Condoleezza Rice? Like, what do you mean? What were you expecting? Right? And so, and I get it that that's not what you meant. Of course, you didn't mean that, but that's how we that's how it's perceived, right? Like it's shame. It makes us feel bad because, you know, we're not all of us. Like, don't get me wrong, I can code switch. I can get my nails on and have my gum and cuss you straight out.
Crystal,
you know what I mean?
Crystal, get your nails did.
Good correction. Correction. But you know, that type of thing, it really does happen so often. And one thing that Kevin was saying with that was that his friend didn't say anything about it, you know, and I'm sure it was probably because, you know, they're friends and stuff. And I've been in that scenario too, where it's kind of like, you know, there might be a joke similar to that or whatever, and it's kind of like you just let it slide off, you know, and
we do that because we know that they're not gonna get it, right? They're gonna be like, well, I wasn't trying to be racist, or that was a compliment. Like, you are articulate. Like when I put that in his face, and he was like, why are you being mad? Like, first of all, I'm not being mad. I asked you a question. Now I'm getting mad, right? But he was like, I just understand. Like, that's a compliment. I'm like, I sound just like you. So are we both articulate? Like, I'm a fucking engineer. What did you expect for me to sound like? You know? And then like I was had some guy that, like, it was the second date and that was the end of it. He told me, he's like, you're not really Black, you're Beyonce Black. Okay, well,
what does that mean?
Okay? And don't ever call me again. If I see you again, okay, I'm gonna hit you in the face with a shovel. What does that even mean?
Right? Like, that's a whole nother level.
Right, like
of ignorance.
So, and we really don't like confront that because it happens on such a continuous basis that it would be.
You don't always feel like being bothered. You're like, I don't feel like explaining this today. I'm just gonna.
You get tired of it. You get tired of it. You get tired of trying to educate people. And again, it's not always from a negative space. Sometimes it's just because they just don't know, or maybe they just didn't realize it. You know what I'm saying? But you get tired of explaining.
And it's like the third time that week, you know?
Yeah.
And I find it more hurtful when it actually comes from Black people because, number one, you've stereotyped yourself when you say things like this.
And when Black people do it, it's not so. Even though it is not a compliment, when white people do it, that's what they think they're doing. But when Black people do it, that's not what they want you to feel bad because, you know, white people historically has not been so great for other people who are not white, right? So to have a Black person tell you you're acting white, then it's like
it's a rejection. It's like they're rejecting you.
Yep. It's exactly that. Like, are you saying that I'm a colonizer? Or, like, are you calling me a house slave? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's insulting.
Watch This Now came through here. He says, I have to say, I saw this for the second time today, and I'm not as strong on it this round. Definitely check out his review and his other reviews. Watch This Now has a really great channel, and he just has a great personality. He feels like a friend just sitting there talking to you about movies. So I definitely say go and subscribe to Watch This Now. If I didn't say it, subscribe to Tony Man 002. He sounds like the guy outside of the bodega with a cigar in New York telling you what's what.
Yes.
Also entertaining.
You got to text me those or like leave them so that we can all find them. Write it in the chat so that I can write it down.
Okay.
I'm going to go subscribe to Watch This Now right now.
Okay. Tony T says, I love Suspiria too, and Inferno had beautiful colors also. Yes.
Did you guys like the second one? Because I loved it.
What do you mean? The
Suspiria.
Wait, that's Inferno. Oh, you mean the remake? Oh, I was like, I don't think it should have been called Suspiria. I think it should have been its own movie and just say that it was inspired by Suspiria. Like how Insidious is basically inspired by Poltergeist.
Yeah,
but it's actually closer to a Poltergeist remake than the actual Poltergeist remake.
You are so right about that. Oh my gosh.
Amy says, I love how the focus of critique went from white academics studying Black communities to the art world exploiting Black pain. I hope the world accept the critique like academia did. Yes, that's one of the reasons why I did not review that series, Them, on Amazon. It was, to me, it was like exploiting Black torture porn. Like it's like what they have on one hand, oh, here's some ghosts, but also these white people are scary, and back and forth. And it's like there wasn't a point to it. And it wasn't cathartic because the scary white people were not getting their comeuppance. Like, so like, what's the point of me watching this Black family be terrorized? Especially when it's a story that I already know because it's happened to my own family. When my grandparents bought a house in a white neighborhood in the 60s, yeah, I've seen it already. Or I've heard about it already, I should say.
A lot of people think that here up north, because I'm in Seattle, and the north is part of North America that I can be in the upper left. And so people are like, oh, the slaves ran to the upper north. You know, it's so safe here. It's not. This is a sundown. The whole, like 90% of the state of Washington is a sundown town.
Oh, and
wow. My mom, when we would be traveling, she had a little green book, and it was written by another Black person, but it shows you what towns you could be in. And what towns you needed to be out of by the time it got dark. And it's still like that now. Like there's a lot of pockets of this state that don't celebrate diversity. And my short story, The Monster, that is getting a lot of mileage. When I was in Roy, and it was getting dark, I was running out of gas. And The Monster inspired that interaction because I got out of the car and I was going into the gas station, and this guy, imagine like the epitome of a white male, right? 6'4", blonde hair, blue eyes. He didn't have a shirt on, and his whole entire chest was an American eagle, and in its talons was a giant swastika. And
I was already nervous just with the eagle.
I know. I was about to say, what else?
He had a big like something like it looked German, right? And so I was walking towards him. He had a sucker in his mouth, a cherry sucker. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, please, dear God, don't let him hit or spit on me. He can say whatever, just please keep me safe. And so he absently held the door open for me, right? And I was just like, I almost collapsed, but it was just like, and he also had a gun rack in his pickup, right? Because we, in this state, in Washington State, you can use an assault rifle to hunt big game. And so, like, here I am, right? A Black woman in a section that I really shouldn't be in. And he's holding the door open for me. And I was just like, it was so scary, first of all, to see him face to face like that. And the guy in the gas attendant was the same way, but he wasn't as big, right? Like it could have gone completely in a different way, but like it didn't. And so when I was driving home, like it's a big deal to be walking around with a tattoo like that on your body and so proudly displaying it. And I was like thinking to myself, what was it that made him like, see me as a woman and not a Black person and hold the door open for me? I mean, I'm sure he saw that I was Black because, there wasn't any of me anywhere around, but like, it was just such an unsettling feeling. He was so big and so looming and so, it was super scary. And so when I wrote The Monster and people like the way that they react to that story, it's very like, you should see some of the stuff that people say when they're reviewing it. It's the same as with Rihanna and the Magic Negro. Like it just, people get it when it's art, right? They just don't seem to get it in real life, right? This guy could have hurt me and I wouldn't be sitting here today. And so, and there was another incident again, because Washington, where it's the North, these guys, like in the racism in the South, is completely different than racism up here in the North, because I think these guys who call themselves allies or who are gentrifying our neighborhoods, they're more dangerous to us than a Klansman member, because they're the ones who call the police on us. They're the ones who follow us around in the store. They're the ones that we're going to be interacting with because they're in our space, right? Just like
sometimes they're dangerous within the school system, because when
I
used to work at a high school, and it was an inner city high school, and you would have people that maybe they think they're going to be like Michelle Pfeiffer and Dangerous Minds, but they end up doing a disservice to the students because of their own low expectations. They have very low expectations, and then also by not seeing the students as people. I remember one day there was a girl that she got sent down to the office. At the time, I was working in the guidance and admissions office, because this was a school that had an admissions process. You had to be accepted to go to it. Kind of like a charter school, but it was a vocational technical school. And this girl comes to the office and she's all upset. And I said, what happened? Miss so-and-so sent me out of her class. And the teacher comes down. She's all upset. She was cursing. She was doing this and she was doing that. And I was like, well, does she do that any other time? No. So I asked the little girl, well, what happened? And she says her boyfriend was shot in front of her the day before. And I'm just sitting here like, you're the teacher that has her in class every day, and you didn't notice a change in her personality enough to ask her what was wrong. And I'm a person that sees her maybe once a week, and my first inclination is to ask her what's wrong.
Right.
Like that's.
And now that you mentioned that, that reminded me of another incident that happened to me when I was trying out for band, and the teacher asked me what instrument I wanted to play, and I said the trumpet. And she's like, you can't play the trumpet. Your lips are too big.
Oh my God. Like, have you ever heard of Louis Armstrong?
Armstrong.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And so she said that the only instrument I could play was the trumpet. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
And I was in the 4th or 6th grade. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it various damaging. Like, you know what I mean? That stuff stays with you forever.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
Oh my God.
Shout out to Internet Eric here. He said that he had to go. He'll catch the replay, but I wanted to shout him out and let everybody know, check out his channel as well. He started a great tag. It's one of the tags that won't die, but we love it. Nightwatch also has a tag video, so you check that out. Let's see what else. Yeah, Eric says he'll talk to you on Thursday night. And Amy says, see the director's film Little Woods with Tessa Thompson. Yeah, earlier in the broadcast, Crystal was talking about Little Woods. Where do you? Tony T says, I hope they make more films exploring the Candyman lore, but they don't. This film is perfect way to end the series. I actually felt like this was more like a bridge film to usher in the next phase of Candyman. Yeah. It felt like it was setting up for sequels.
Yeah, it did.
Board Now says, hey guys, how are you? How are you, Board Now? I'm glad that you're here. Hey. I see you in the comments sometimes. Just got back from London and Fright Fest today. Had a good time. Nice hair, Shasha.
So
Thank you so much.
I so want to do Fright Fest in London so bad, but I think next year, like, if we can get things under control, I'm going to start like touring again. And I do want to do some international festivals.
That would be cool.
Amy says, I like how collaborative Peele is with Monkey Paw to draw attention to other Black artists sharing his power. Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Yep.
By the way, that's one of the things I did say about Peele's strength. People always refer to him as a Black director, but I always refer to him as a biracial director. And I think that's what made Get Out so good, because he could write, like a lot of times when you have a director like Spike Lee, he writes white characters that are kind of caricaturish. Yes. Whereas when Peele writes these characters, they feel more real. And I think it's because he has that intimate relationship with both the Black community and the white community to be able to write so well.
Yep, I agree. He actually said that too in talking about it when he was writing it. He was saying that was a part of it that was so intimate to him because he has that experience on both sides of the fence, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, again, what we were saying about like how our white friends don't get it. Like when he was saying, you know, he felt uncomfortable, and she was like, and this is from get out. And she's like, do you think every Black woman wants you? Like, she was joking, but it was extremely dismissive, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tony, man.
Yeah, we know. Oh, wait. What did he say here? I was a teacher as well. Those inner city kids loved me because I always noticed what was going on with the children. Well, I think you also probably have more connection because you were an inner city kid. Yeah. So it's a lot easier if you're from the inner city to teach people from the inner city than people coming from outside the inner city to teach in the inner city.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What was it Naughty by Nature said? If you're not from the hood, don't come from the hood. Don't come to the hood because you wouldn't understand.
And then, like, what is the new song? He was like, you're not a banger, you're a tourist. Like again, like, you know, you're not from here. Like, stop.
Mm-mm-mm.
There was something else I want to mention before we close out, but I can't remember what it was. We talked about cinematography. Oh, the score. It was a brand new score, but there were a few nods to the original Philip Glass score, which I always loved that score.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. No, the score was great, man. As soon as the movie came on, too, man, I was like, oh wow,
you know, right?
And the thing about it, it just, again, it was respectful to the original, but it had its own identity, and it was still, it still felt like a Candyman movie. You know what I mean?
I really like the way that she, because this movie is very has very like hot button issues and can be very controversial, but she really did navigate this to limit any further trauma from our community, and she made it to where we could see and recognize and be and like I can't find the word, but without like causing further harm. Like one of the reasons why I did not watch them
Antebellum. Oh, I said Antebellum. You said them.
Get you going on Antebellum, man.
Yeah.
Like it just seems like you know what I mean. Like I just it felt like it would be too just traumatizing to watch. So. It's on the back burner. Maybe I will watch it.
And it's a shame because directing wise, beautifully shot, great choices, acting amazing. It's just the subject matter. It's like that moment that Dave Chappelle described when he was telling a joke, and it was like people were it felt like the people weren't laughing with him, but laughing at him about the racist humor. And it kind of, it has that kind of feeling like this is not for us. It feels like it's for other people to like, I don't know, almost get off on this, you know, torture, like maybe a subgenre of torture porn, like black trauma porn. Like my sister said it best. She said, I can't eat popcorn to my people suffering. I'm gonna keep going.
I love that.
Yeah.
The music was fantastic. There was something else I feel like I skipped. Tony T asked, I wonder why Jordan Peele turned down directing Candyman, even though Nia DaCosta did an awesome job. I think it's because Jordan Peele is mostly done directing of things that he's written. Right. So I think it's because it wasn't a script that, well, he did co-write it. He did co-write it with Nia DaCosta, but I think he likes projects that it's completely him.
And I think like another reason is because he wants to feature other people, right? Like every February when like there's like the it's Black History Month, and then all of us, like for the last 3 years, every single person who does a list of the Black horror writers that you should be reading, we're all the same people, but there's like hundreds of us, right? And so I think he's just like a way of showcasing, you know, it's just not me, like, you know, and even like when I watched his Twilight Zone series, you know, even with like the original, it was each, you know, most of the episodes were directed by two different directors, Ron Sterling and I don't remember the other guy. He did the same thing with the Twilight Zone, so we were able to see different directors. And always with the nods to the original. Like I really appreciate that, because there were so many nods to the original of Candyman, and I was blown away with the Twilight Zone series, but every single series nodded the series before it. Like my favorite one was the 20,000 Feet in the Air. Like how this is like it's just so amazing. And then it had like the little one of the girls have the little doll from the original one, and the way that the guy like tricked him to like get the like it was so I don't want to like tell too much about that about that episode because it was so freaking amazing. And then at the last episode to have like the CG of Rod Sterling, I was like, who does this? Like what? Like and so even though he is unbelievably talented, I think he's doing this so that we can see others in like him as well. Like I wouldn't have known about Nia if it hadn't have been for Candyman, and I would have missed out on Littlewood because oh my god, you went down, baby.
Speaking of that, Tony Man said cute doggo Crystal. And
thank you. She is a bully. She is a fox rat terrier. She's supposed to be 17.5 pounds, but we eat way too many snacks. And I drive a European sports car, right? Big engine. I drive at Autobahn speeds. And so I got pulled over. I think it was like a speed trap or whatever.
Oh, the nerve of them giving you a speeding ticket for speeding.
Right. I like the way you said it too, man. I got pulled over.
I was skipping. And so the guy pulled me over and he had his dog with him, right? These dogs are huge. Like they're like police dogs. And my dog was like going crazy, like trying to kill the dog through the window. And this police dog, it was so embarrassing. He like backed up so that she could see all of him. And he sat down and was like really come outside. Like, and I was like, dude, like, she's little. I don't understand what's happening.
It's like, always the littlest dogs that have the most heart.
Right? It's true.
And they're too brave. And so I just bought a condo here in Washington, and it's surrounded by greenwoods, and so I feel safe walking outside at nighttime, except for my dog tried to step up to a raccoon, and that animal stood on its hind legs like, do you want someone to smoke? My dog's like, yeah. I'm like, no. And I had to like pick her up, and she was like trying to like get out of my arms. She's like, I'll rip your head off. I'm like, no, like what? This is why I can't take you anywhere.
That's funny.
Board now said that they volunteered for Fright Fest, so they got free tickets, and they saw 8 films this year, including a great film from Thailand called The Maid, and Argentina one called The Shadow of the Cat, and also the Crazy Nick Cage's latest, which I think is what, Piggy or the Pig or something about a pig.
These movies coming out of Argentina right now, these horror movies, a year ago, because I review horror movies, that's what I do. A year ago, I said, and it's still true, that Argentina is trying to be what Korea is to horror, right? Argentina, those filmmakers do not care if you don't sleep. They do not care if they push you to the edge and then make you jump because you just can't believe what you just watched. Like, these movies out of Argentina are no joke. And I also do I also judge for film festivals, and every time I see an entry from Argentina, I kind of get sad because I know they're going to blow everybody out of the water. They're amazing movies, right? But like I'm Team USA, but I can only be fair, and every time it's from Argentina, I'm like, well, okay, well the bar is way this high now, like, but yeah, these guys, they're not joking around.
Oh, he says, Board now says the picture was called No Prisoner in a Ghost Land.
Oh, yeah.
Which I haven't heard of that one yet. I have to put that on my list. I would love to talk for like another hour, but I have to get going because I have to watch another movie because for September, I have not announced this on my channel yet, but September is request month. And these people want me to watch some crazy stuff. Like, I already started. The first one was, what was it? I wrote it down here. Begotten. I don't know if you've ever seen Begotten.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
It's from the early 90s. It's kind of a very avant-garde, extreme horror type movie. And it makes Eraserhead look like a very normal story.
I can't wait for, like, how many movies are you gonna review?
I have 29 movies that have been requested. Yeah, so for my whole month of And one of them is yours because there was something you told me to watch. I have it on my. Okay, this is a Virgo thing. Don't think I'm weird, but I have spreadsheets. I create a spreadsheet for how I'm going to do my movies, and I try to pair them up together. But Chris requested one, and the next one I have to watch is Strange Circus, which is a Japanese movie, which I know is going to be weird.
Which one did I request? Was it an American film or from Argentina?
It was. I think it was an American film. Hang on, I'll pull up my list right now and I'll tell you.
And then if you guys still want to see me and Sasha, I uploaded another video today. Like I said, we share a show called Coast to Coast Horror with Crystal and Sasha, where we talk about all things horror from sea to shining sea and sometimes abroad. And our last broadcast, I went to Florida and we hung out and we did some stuff for our channel. And I posted the last video today, and it's basically behind the scenes. So if you guys just
nice, I saw that.
Oh, good. I'll check that out.
But there.
By the way, Quasi Quando said that we have to turn in our black card because we went ghost. Because we went ghost hunting. He said black people don't do ghost tours.
That's funny.
I saw that comment, I was like, but we didn't do anything.
That's funny. Too funny.
What did you think, Tony? Did you leave any comments? He's like, I already watched it.
He's like, I was already on it.
You know what?
I think
these little dogs, it's always the little dogs. And I'm very fortunate that all my encounters have been with other responsible dog owners or people who just know dogs, right? Because Sierra will step up. And I don't understand where the bravery comes from. Dogs are really, it doesn't matter what size they are. They really are too brave for their own good. Why try and fight a raccoon? Why we were at the park and she tried to submit a Cane Corsa. Dude, you're the same size as his thigh. What are you doing, right?
There were two movies, Crystal. One was Pie Wacket, and the other one was.
Have you seen that?
I have seen it, but I'm gonna rewatch it. I saw it when it came out. I think it was 2016, 2017, whenever it came out. And the other one you told me to watch was Welcome to Mercy.
You have to watch that. Can I request one more?
Sure. Let me get my pen. But I have to tell you about one. You have to watch. I just watched last night. Saint Maud. That's up your alley.
Oh.
Okay. Where did you watch that?
I watched it on Hulu.
Okay.
But it's probably rentable.
I want you to please watch The White Coffin from out of Argentina.
Okay, The White Coffin.
These guys are fucking brutal, dude. Like I told you, they don't care.
They don't care.
They don't.
The other ones that have come in this week are Combat Shock. I don't know if you've ever heard of Combat Shock. I think it's from 1984. And Savage Vengeance and Skinless.
Is Savage Vengeance, is that an anthology?
No, Savage Vengeance is shot on VHS, and it's a ripoff of I Spit on Your Grave. It's number quality.
I don't know. Some of these, when I'm assigned a movie from Horror Addicts to review, and some of them I'm just like,
yeah. Tony Man is requesting Halitosis, which I know that movie. The full title is Halitosis: Legend of Stank Mouth.
That just tells you all that you need to know.
Yeah, everything you need to know. I'm writing it down. And it's not a trauma movie.
Are you really going to do it?
Yeah, I probably will.
Okay, well, I definitely want to see that.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch your review. I'm not going to watch it, but I'll watch your review.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I set up my own issues because I started this channel reviewing Martyrs and Gutter Balls and Night of Something Strange and The Greasy Strangler. So that's this is the longest time I've been doing a lot of mainstream movies.
He already saw it. He said, "Do the Greasy Strangers or you're a bullshit artist." She's already.
I already did The Greasy Strangler. Or you're a bullshit artist.
He's too funny, man.
Yeah, I reviewed The Greasy Strangler. I like bad, weird movies, and I'm also bringing back Sci-Fi Saturday. So this Saturday, I'm
Ooh.
starting with Afrofuturism with Space is the Place. And then there was also a series
from another planet.
No, I'm not. I'm doing that one a couple weeks from now. I'm pairing a brother with the brother from another planet with Fried Berry because they go well together. But this week I'm doing.
Are you gonna do Attack the Block?
Yeah, I should do Attack the Block. Let me write that one down too for Sci-Fi Saturday because I didn't do Attack the Block yet. But
and then another movie that I told you about on one of our list. When we did like the top 10 is Night of the Wild. It's a sci-fi movie from the Sci-Fi Channel, and it talks about. Remember when we did the top 10 when we reviewed White God and the Pack?
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that movie again.
I haven't seen
that one's for Sci-Fi Saturday.
Tony Man mentioned Tokyo Gore Police. I have seen that. I have to rewatch it. I like that. But what was I about to say? Yeah, this Saturday I'm doing I just said the name of it. Space is the Place, which is a 1974 sci-fi movie about this Sun Ra, who's a jazz musician, who decides he's going to transport all the Black people off of Earth through music. and then I'm pairing that with Cosmic Slop, which was produced by George Clinton from Parliament Funkadelic, and it was a series that aired.
Musical, or is it just like?
Yeah, it's a sci-fi. There are some musical interludes, but it's not really a musical. Like there's no singing numbers, but you hear like the jazz music in the background, and it's very 1974, like platform shoes, afros, all that. The other one, Cosmic Slop, is from either late 80s or early 90s, and it was a sci-fi anthology series that got canceled on HBO. And one of the first episodes, it was produced by George Clinton from Funkadelic, and one of the first episodes was about the same thing. These aliens that come to Earth and say they want to take all the Black people up with them. And I was like, that's weird how this came up again. So I'm gonna review those two just because I just thought it would be fun to do because we don't get to review a whole lot of Black sci-fi. So I figured I would start off with that. I'm definitely gonna do Buckaroo Banzai because of the Rasta aliens. That's just amazing. But yeah, I'm bringing back, and I'm leading this up to Dune because I mean, you see this book back here. Nice. Dune comes out in October, and then I think The Matrix comes out in December. So
I have to be back in my sci-fi. I tried like a couple of times to like watch that movie. I just couldn't get into it.
It's hard.
It is hard.
I learned from my mother it's hard to get into if you haven't read the book because the movie does not do a good job of explaining things. If you read the book, then you understand certain things, but it's like I mentioned this before that Marvel is excellent at this. Like I had never heard of a Guardian of the Galaxy, but I understand it, just haven't seen the movies. They're very good at making something that even if you didn't read the source material, you can still understand and enjoy. But they failed with that with Dune, where if you didn't read, and to try to make it one movie, it's a pretty thick book with small print. It really should have been like it needed to be a trilogy.
Yep, too much to try to fit in one movie.
People are probably going to complain about this too and say it's woke because all the brown people. But guess what? In the book, they were brown. The people on planet Arrakis were brown. In the 1980s movie, they were not. And
supposedly, this is going to be put into 2 movies.
Good.
That's the plan. Huh?
I'm not going to watch also The Matrix because I think that's another movie that, like another series that stretched on too far. Like, you know what I mean? Like I liked like the first one and the second one was like, but then by the end, I was only watching it for the action. I wasn't really following the story anymore.
Right.
Well, Keanu's in it. I'm gonna watch anything that Keanu's in because, like, that's the dude.
Like, he is the dude, ain't he? Though.
Yeah, he made a comeback. Everybody wrote him off. Like back in the 80s, there was like they're like he's a terrible actor. He's never gonna do anything. Yeah.
And then he took a little break, and then he came back with the Matrix.
Ahead and watch the third John Wick.
Oh, it was good.
Speaking of him, I think I'm gonna go watch the third John
when Halle Berry came through with the dogs.
Halle Berry. Oh my god. Oh man.
Yes.
I just haven't been watching a lot of movies because I have a lot of movies on my queue, but I have like the dedicated time that I have to review for Horror Addicts, and I'm still writing, so I'm trying not to watch too much TV. But I did get sucked into like a couple of Korean dramas, and
where'd you start?
Really yesterday because someone was like, "You got to see this movie; it's so amazing," and it wasn't. And so
Kingdom comes back in January, I think.
What does?
I don't know if you watched Kingdom. It's a Korean. It's on Netflix. It's a Korean zombie.
And I'm like, nope, I am not going to sit here.
Oh, it's good. It's a Korean zombie drama series. It's really good. Lots of action.
I know.
First of all, the zombie actors are great in this.
I have other stuff to do, and then I watched one episode of the King of Boys from South Africa. I don't know which country in Africa that's from. I'm not going to be watching that too because that is a huge black hole of like these guys are so off I was like, nope, no, I have shit to do. Like I can't. I would be like 3 days of my life tired, rubbing my eyes. That's how it was when I watched Bad Guys, a Korean cop drama. I stayed up for 3 days, okay? And I was just like, what's wrong with me? I'm not doing it. I'm going to take a vacation in February. I'm taking 3 weeks off of writing, and then I will watch TV and then take a nap and, do stuff for me. But I have to plan it out.
Board now says, I think Lynch had the right idea with Dune that is making it a wacky B movie. I don't think he intentionally made it a wacky B movie, but it did have some funny scenes. Like the book is very hard to film unless it's a miniseries, I would think. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of story there to be. They would have to make it like a Game of Thrones type series to really, explore everything.
Yeah, absolutely. It's too much to cover.
Pull it off too because it's finished, right? You're not going to lose a bunch of people. Well, I stopped watching the Game of Thrones exactly where I stopped reading the books because, right? And so I thought I would give the series a chance because it's like Cliff Notes, and then in the exact same spot, I was like. Right. But then I started listening because everyone was posting about it all the time. And then they started to talk about stuff that wasn't. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I found out that they were just making stuff up. And then I think it was Sasha who pointed out, she's like, when did Middle English have Starbucks cups and plastic bottle water?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she zooms in and it's right there.
Yeah, they stopped trying.
They got lazy.
Latte.
I read the Game of Thrones, the first book, A Song of Fire and Ice, because of the first season. I started watching the first season, and one of the things that hooked me was that Black King, and I was like, "Oh wow, they actually include us." And it's a misnomer, especially amongst Americans. They think that we weren't in Europe, but you can, if you think we weren't there, Google portraits of Black people, 13th century, 14th century, 15th, pick a century. There's portraits of us there. Yeah. We were there. And just in American media, they act like we weren't there.
She's right. So I have a tattoo on my back. My last name is Connor. And to make a long story short, I created my own family crest. And so it's a Zulu sword. And in the middle of that sword is my name, my last name in Celtic writing. And then there's 2 Celtic dogs on the side. And then there's 2 spears that across that Zulu shield, right? And so I was in Alaska, and these 2 Irish guys with the super thick accent, they stopped me and they're like, "What house are you from?" Okay, when you get tattoos, after a couple of years, you forget that you have them, right? And so I was like, "What house am I from? What is this?" Right? And they were like, "Because of your signal, or sigil." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Is this not your family crest?" And I'm like, "It is, but," and they're like, "Because we're asking you because we have, we have houses in Irish who are Black people like you. So we just assumed since you have a coat of arms on your back that you belong to one of these houses." And they were telling me that way back in the day because Irish people and I'm not really good at geometry, but they were seafaring people, and so they saw each other. They would be in that African country, bringing wives back to England, or not England, Irish men going back to get the kids that they left. And so he was like, there's a lot of Celtic and African art that's all over, and we just assume because it's a blending art that we were an heir. And I'm like, I am the heir of not like that, but wow.
Oh yeah. And I told you this story before about my cousin when she did her DNA, and her last name is McLaughlin, which is like super Irish. So she found the section of her family from Ireland. When she went there, they gave her like the family tartan, which I didn't know that the different patterns on people's kilts, each family has like their own color scheme pattern that they call their family tartan. So that was pretty cool. It's very interesting how we approach race in America versus other places. Right. Even if you were to,
my brother went to Ireland, and because we were like the whole like trying to find family or whatever. And so one of the guys, he was like, "Are you Protestant or are you Protestant or are you Catholic?" And my brother was like, because it was our like. Unfortunately, that family owned owned us, but in Ireland they just assumed we're all family members, like you're our cousins. And being an American Black person, we're like, no, we're not. But anyway, he was like, are you Protestant or are you Catholic? And my brother's like, I'm Christian. And he's like, are you a Christian Protestant or are you a Catholic Protestant? And he's like, what are you? I'm what you are. We're family. And he's like, good answer. And so like, we talk about other stuff, right? They don't like, they have other stuff going on overseas. Like, and it's really interesting how people think that there's no Black people like outside of like the United States and Africa, right? So like, I watched series from like Sweden and Denmark, and there's all kinds of Black people there all the time. Like the very first show that I watched from Sweden, I was blown away by the main character who was not a token, who was speaking the language. And I'm like, what in the hell? And so then I Googled it real quick. There are tons of Black people in the North.
All over.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like, there's a few series now on Netflix. There's one, Itaewon Class, and another one, I forget the name of it, but it's a comedy series that has Black characters on it in South Korea. And they are just natives of South Korea. And
when I went to Korea, these kids, okay, so a bunch of Americans, armies, when they were there, left children behind. So when, as an American person roaming around Korea, first of all, Koreans have a sense of culture and family, right? And so they don't have the concept, like I had this guy come up to me and he showed me a picture of his dad from when he was in Korea, like almost like 40 years ago or however long that happened, right? And he's like, have you seen this man, right? That's my dad. And I was like, I don't even know who lives next door to me. Do you know how big the United States is? And he's like, how do you not know who lives next door to you? Like, how does that work? And I was like,
a lot of times they don't realize how huge the United States is. You could fit Korea inside of probably Texas. Like, this is a huge country.
Really interesting how because he was like, you don't know your next door neighbor. And that's another thing when I was traveling overseas, I had to get used to it because I'm a horror writer and I've seen Hostel, right? People will let you in their house. Like they're like, oh, come and eat dinner with us and you can stay here. And I'm thinking,
is this hostile or are they going to kidnap me?
Right. And this is the, serial capital of the world, even though I'm not sure why we got that bad reputation, because California has more serial killers than we do, but go fight someone else. Don't fight me about it. Right. And so they're very, very community, like, what I mean? Like
they have, even with
Saudi Arabia all by myself, I did not feel afraid. I did have people come up and make sure that I was okay. But like,
that's great.
I wouldn't do that in New York. Are you kidding? But you know what I mean?
I feel safer in New York than I do Miami. I feel safe in New York. I don't feel so safe in Miami sometimes. But what's funny about that is we were just saying how, okay, you can go to Ireland and be black and, people are chill with it. But the Protestants and the Catholics gang bang like they are Crips and Bloods. I'm like,
yeah, they do.
That is wild. Like how the tension and hatred that they have.
It's not like the Crips and Bloods. They act like it's Palestine and Israel.
Oh, yeah.
Like a religious war.
It's fucking bad.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So,
but, how are we going to end this on a positive note? So, yeah.
We are the world. We are the children.
Yes.
We are the ones that make a better day. All right, let me stop.
Oh, Tony T said in 1829, Mexico elected its first president that was African descent. Yes, there's a lot of African people of African descent in Mexico still to this day.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout Central America. I have some cousins that are half Panamanian, but they're still black.
Remember when we had a certain president and he said on national television, he was like, I didn't know there were so many black people in Brazil.
Oh my God. It's only the largest transatlantic slave population outside the United States.
We have more black people than you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so remember back in the day when we thought President Bush was like the worst president in the whole.
Oh yeah.
Then,
now I'm like that dude wasn't that bad.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, the times.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So what do you guys have coming up on your channels? I'm
going to do a review. Okay, so there was a short movie on YouTube called The Hairstylist, and they made it into a full feature length movie, and they kept the same actress. And so that's what I'm working on now. It didn't quite, you'll just have to wait and see.
I like that.
And Night, what do you and Coriander have coming up?
Oh man, we're always all over the place, but we've got tomorrow night. I'm doing a stream with a couple of the other channels that hang out and stuff, just bullshitting. But what we did do, it's a monthly thing. But what we did do last month, it was funny as hell because we did this thing where we would give a description of a movie. And it'd be a very simple description to try to fool you, and you had to guess what the movie is. And I wish I had one of them. I wish I had one of them in front of me right now. But like, for instance, there was this one that was something like, this person. I can't remember what it was. Had a. You know what I'm talking about.
I got one because we played this game with my uncle.
Okay.
We call it Guess What Uncle Boo is Watching, because he'll come in the door and it'll be like, I was watching this Rubik's Cube from hell.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what it was like, except it was even more like we had this one where we said a grandmother passes on a family tradition and her two future generations learn to get ahead in life. Okay.
Oh, that's Hereditary.
No one could get that. But you get what I'm saying? The grandmother and get ahead. You get, okay.
The thing about that, like every time, like the reason I like faded out a minute, when you said that is because I can hear that him walking on the wall, like that's never gonna leave me. Like, and so I had to like ground myself when you said that because any reference whatsoever, and that's what I hear.
But it's a hilarious game because last month when we did it, we had a whole bunch of people. We had Monty G, Horror Miser, Monty G. We had Eric, Strange Monkey. Need Gore has been on it. But anyways, but we were saying
Need Gore is cool.
Yeah, but we were saying these descriptions, and we had two teams, and both teams we were like stumping each other, like, what the fuck are you talking about? So in other words, it was just fun. We were live. We had a whole bunch of laughs. So we're gonna do a little bit more of that tomorrow. We're gonna talk about some remakes that we think were superior to the original.
I have some too because I usually don't like remakes. I especially don't like remakes of American Like if it's
American remakes of foreign movies,
I can't stand it, and I cannot stand American remakes of classics. To like, why are we remaking "I Spit on Your Grave"? It's called The Day of the Woman. Like, what? Right? But there are some that I was like, hold on a minute. One of them being Mother. Both of those movies are ridiculous, but the remake is just. I was just like. Rebecca De Mornay.
No, I haven't seen either one.
I haven't seen that one. No.
Yeah,
but I will close the show out with this. Train to Busan was trending on Saturday on Twitter for that reason, because they were talking about the remake being made. And there was so many comments shading America for not having a high-speed train system. They said, what you gonna call it? Amtrak to Boston? Slow train? That was like, y'all were kind of right. We don't have, a brand new high-speed train.
Nice.
You kind of right about that. I'm like, how is that going to be remade here? Like, how?
They'll figure out something.
They're gonna do because
it'll be horrible.
Yeah, just tell people there's a dubbed version. There's an English dubbed version on Tubi if you have difficulty reading subtitles. Because my father has dyslexia, so it's hard for him to read subtitles. So he'll always watch the movie dubbed, and so that's why I'm not a snob about subtitles. Because like literally, some people just can't see them.
Right.
But I had the idea of if you really wanted to like re-release in the theater, just get stars. Like I'll re-release Train to Busan and then like have Will Smith play the father, voice the father, and then have have one of the dudes from Marvel voice the big dude that had the pregnant wife. Yeah, just do that. Just hire Hollywood stars to do the voiceover, and then people will go see it in the theater.
Yep.
I'm can't. I'm still just like, and another one that you guys might want to watch. It's he wrote. It's the guy who did The Wicker Tree, and so he did The Wicker Man, and then everyone was like pulling their hair out because of The Wicker Tree, not realizing that he was the fucking author of The Wicker Man. The Wicker Tree is much more unsettling than The Wicker Man, and when you see it, you'll see why. Like I was just like. And see the original one, the one not with Nicolas Cage, but the one that he remade,
the 1970s
one.
And
then watch The Wicker Tree. I was just like, okay. Like, I'm not going to be going to Europe to anybody's festivals. No spring festival, no summer festival. We're not going to go see European and your festivals. I'm good.
Two more comments, and then we're going to call it a night. Tony Man says, "Not the bees, not the bees." and Tony T says Hollywood should remake bad films like Robot Monster. Yes, I agree. Yeah. Remake something like 976 Evil. Like do that, dude.
Right?
I mean, it's an okay movie, but it wasn't great. Just do don't. They're trying to remake The Exorcist, and I'm so hurt. I'm like, no, you can't top that. There's no way of topping that. No.
I'm gonna fight somebody. Like, I have to know. Like, I need to talk to somebody's manager
so funny, man.
Right now. Damn it.
But thank you guys so much for coming through. You don't know how much I appreciate this, and I love this conversation.
This was
fun. Like we literally could have done this for like 5 hours.
Right.
And I got to come through on that. I can't do it tomorrow night because I have hella editing to do. But the next time you do that trivia, guess what I'm trying to watch movie thing, let me know because I want to come through. I would have fun doing that.
Yeah, we're gonna. I can tell you right now, we're gonna do it. We're trying to do it every month, like the first Thursday of the month. So a month from tomorrow night. I mean, a month from Thursday of this week, we'll be doing it. Okay. Again. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys.
Oh, and I almost forgot to mention on Thursday. Check out Hood Podcast. We're going to be doing our mid-series review of What If. Because on Hood Podcast, we did WandaVision, we did Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we did Loki, and now we're doing What If. And also on Mondays, we do. You guys have to come through and watch that. On Mondays, when we have the Hood Podcast,
I popped through for a little bit.
Last week we reacted for like 25 minutes straight. Nothing but crate challenges. It was a mess.
Okay, I want to know how in our community did we come to the crate challenge? Like, why?
I don't know.
Like, what happened? And where are all these crates coming from? Do people still drink milk? Like, what? Like, I don't know.
I have
something? Like, dudes, the hospitals are inundated with COVID patients, and you're gonna fucking break your back on a wobbly crate now?
Oh, I heard one girl cracked her skull for real. Like she fractured her skull.
That doesn't surprise me.
And did you see the girl who did it in her heels?
Yes. Marvel needs to come get her. Marvel, come get that girl. She's a superhero. Right. Clearly. Right. That's Cat. No, not Marvel. I'm sorry. DC. That's Catwoman.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, I just don't understand it. Like when I first saw it, I was thinking, so did someone get hurt at work? And then they tried to show everybody what happened at home? Like, how?
Hey.
Tony Man said 2 people died doing it. That's crazy.
Wow.
Really?
Man.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Probably because they stacked the crates too high, and some of them were doing it on cement. I did see that some of them, they had no padding on the sides. Nobody spotting.
Did you win anything?
That's crazy.
But did you see the guy that rolled the blunt while he did it?
No.
That was
I didn't see
crazy.
What is wrong?
Oh my God.
He made it though. He walked off the one side, rolling the blunt. And when he got to the other side, somebody said, "Get him a light," and they lit it up. And he smoked and walked down the other side. Like,
wow. I mean, is there a prize? Like, what? Why?
I think some people. I did see some people handing out money, so I think they take bets. Like they all money to a kitty and take bets, and then if you get over, you probably get $100 or something. But still, $100 is not worth. The hospital going to take all that and then some. If you don't, survive it, right?
I can't believe 2 people died. Dang.
Right.
This is America. We are literally living in. Oh, speaking of idiocracy, did you? This is the last thing about Candyman. One of the trailers before Candyman was Jackass Forever. And I said, "This is Ow My Balls, the movie."
Pretty much.
We're living in idiocracy.
Oh wow.
My God. Crazy shit.
One was a somebody was doing the crate challenge and got killed by a drive-by.
Oh my God.
And the other one is the woman who did it at a gas station and cracked her skull. Yeah, because on cement it's not
Right.
And these guys, they're not prepared for that, right? They did not grow up sliding down an aluminum slide that was
no.
They did not grow up on that damn ass merry-go-round that we spun and spun and spun.
How is that legal?
You know what I mean? They did not grow up on those metal swings that we flipped upside down on. They're not prepared for the crate challenge. Okay, did you grow up riding a big wheel? Stay your ass off those fucking carts.
Right. That's it. I had a big wheel. I had a couple.
I never could do the slide like the kid in the commercial. The kid just I couldn't do the slide.
Like I don't know, maybe a couple of tries, but that was the biggest thing. All of us, and you and then we would sing our own soundtrack, we'd be writing our and then we'd be like,
yes,
our own
you're right.
Soundtrack,
me and my cousin used to play this game. Shout out to Dorian if you're watching this. Me and my cousin play this game. We called it stunt bikes, but really it was just playing chicken. You ride toward each other, and then most of the time, because we're both hard-headed, we would never turn and just crash into each other. And I don't know why that was fun to just crash your bikes into each other over and over again. And we had, I think it's because we had those BMX bikes. And if you have a BMX bike, the commercial makes you feel like you can do all kinds of crazy stuff.
That's right. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, I look at adults that have no scars on their legs and arms, and I'm like, you never learned to roller skate, ride a bike, you've never climbed a tree. Like, how do you not have a single scar?
I know, right?
They never had chemistry sets,
right?
Standing on a crate. Really?
Yeah.
You're not prepared. You have not been prepared.
Oh, it was New Orleans. Dude was doing a crate challenge. A car drove by and you heard several gunshots. It was in New Orleans and 3 people were killed, including the dude doing the challenge. Damn, that's some super hateful stuff. Like, I see you having fun. I hate you. I'm gonna kill you. Like, what the hell? that is super hateful. But that's why I watch horror. It's like easier to deal with horror that isn't real than horror that actually happens in our world.
Actually is real. Yeah, it's true. Yep, it's true. Escapism.
All right. Well, everybody, good night. Thank you to the chat. The chat was live. I was really happy about that. That was cool.
Yeah.
Thank you tonight. Thank you to Crystal.
Go back and like follow everybody on. Like, if you guys have a YouTube channel, I'm gonna be subscribing to you guys. Absolutely. And then, like, at the end, the only people who are left with us is Tony.
And I think Adrian was the last one. He said thanks everyone. And Tony T
is still here.
And Board guy. Board now?
Yeah.
Thank y'all for coming through. I really appreciate it. Good conversation too.
Absolutely.
Very intelligent. All right. I'm gonna end the broadcast. Good night.
Good night, guys.
All right.